Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. John Dehlin. It is January 7th, 2021, and I am sharing with you today kind of a special edition of Mormon Stories podcast. For those who don't know me, I am the host of a podcast called Mormon Stories, where we try to explore, challenge Mormonism, Orthodox Mormonism. It's for all types of Mormons, but particularly for open-minded Mormons, questioning Mormons, progressive Mormons, and post-Mormons. Anyway, it is the day after the insurrection here in the United States, where Donald Trump he basically called a kind of a big protest, uh, right down the street from our nation's capital. It was scheduled during the time that Congress was certifying the Electoral College here in the United States, of course, which was going to lead to a certification of Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris being chosen as the next president, vice president of the United States. And during that protest, during that speech that Donald Trump gave, he denounced Vice President Pence. He denounced, Republican leadership that supported the vote, and he incited and encouraged his followers and supporters at this presentation to march to the nation's capital, where then they invaded the nation's capital, broke into it, caused all sorts of vandalism and destruction while Congress was in session. At least 4 people died as a result of those actions, and it's been condemned by Republicans and Democrats alike, including, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, including Republican Mormon Senator Mitt Romney, and many, many others. Now today, several members of Donald Trump's cabinet are resigning. He's being called for impeachment, etc.
Hi, my name is Ryan, and I wanted to do this video because I don't think John Dehlin quite understands what happened that day at the Capitol on November 6th. First of all, it was the Trump supporters that organized the protest, and President Trump found out about it and asked the Trump supporters that were organizing it if he could speak at the White House before they went to the Capitol. So, no, Trump didn't organize this. Another thing is, they tried to impeach Trump for 2 years about Russian collusion, and how well did that work out? There was absolutely no proof, and there's no proof of inciting violence at this protest either. If you watched President Trump's talk, he never incited violence at all. He actually said, "Yeah, be a peaceful protest," and he was going to speak at the Capitol, and it was going to be a good day. But let's continue and see what John Dehlin has to say.
And there were people harassing Mitt Romney at the airport flying to this event. And, and there are Mormon politicians like Burgess Owens that support Donald Trump, or that historically have supported Trump, like Senator Mike Lee and others. So there's no way to take out the Mormonism from what happened yesterday, good and bad. And so what I've done is I've prepared a presentation for today. I hope it's not too lengthy. I'm calling it "How Bad Religion and or Orthodox Mormonism has both groomed us for Trumpism and has shown us how to defeat it."
So right here, I just wanted to point out, just like all the mainstream media and their hate Trump propaganda, they always put a picture of Trump looking like this. And so Dr. John Dehlin did the exact same thing. He's just following the mainstream narrative of Trump hate. Let's continue.
I think there are reasonable reasons to be conservative, to be a Republican, and to be liberal, and to be a Democrat. And I sympathize with lots of different policies and values across the spectrum. I am literally a registered Republican in the state of Utah. If I could have chosen between Mitt Romney and Joe Biden for president, there's a chance I would have preferred Mitt Romney. I'm not the biggest Joe Biden fan in the world by any stretch of the imagination. I do like a lot about Kamala Harris, but she's not perfect either. Um, but in the past, I've voted for both Republican and Democrat presidents over the years. So that's all true about me. But I wanted to see John Huntsman, a moderate or progressive Republican, become governor in Utah, and that's why I registered as a Republican. So you really can't claim I'm part of the radical left. I consider myself moderate and a registered Republican in Utah. And then I just want to state that my focus is on the collective good, the good of American society, the good of the global society, of the world. That's what I care about most, more than any party, more than any politician, etc. But the thing that I also feel very strongly is I'm anti-fascism. I studied World War II. I named one of my children after Winston Churchill. I've studied FDR and World War II, JFK. I'm pro-civil rights and I'm anti-fascism. And those things are really important to me. And that's the slant from which I'm coming from. So I'm not here to attack people who voted Republican or even voted for Trump per se, but I am vocally denouncing what I'm calling Trumpism, which I am equating with fascism. And I'm going to sort of make that argument.
So right about here, I want to point out again that Trump is not a fascism. That is something that has, for the last 5 years, the mainstream media, the Democrats have pushed and constantly every single day have said about Trump. You know, before Trump was president, none of this was being said about him. He was a great guy. He's a businessman, this and this. So in the last 5 years, we have people that have been watching the mainstream media and and copying exactly the same rhetoric, the same hate Trump propaganda. Now, right here too, I want to say that if you want to go watch this video, go right ahead. It's at Mormon Stories YouTube channel, and you can watch the whole thing. I am going through certain parts of this video. It's a long video, and I didn't want to make it two hours long. But he has a disclaimer. Go read the disclaimer. Go check it out. Whatever. This is, though, I want to show John Dehlin that he is wrong, and he doesn't understand. I don't want to call the guy a liar, but I don't know exactly what he's thinking or what he looks at. Maybe he just watches CNN all day. I don't know. But yeah, we'll just keep on going. This video gets very interesting, and you'll see why.
Again, a church that I was raised in that was really pro-Constitution, really pro-America. How is this possible? And how are so many people who claim to be devout Christians or even Orthodox Christians, how are so many Christians disproportionately supporting Trump? That's kind of what I'm asking myself. And I am here to make the argument today that I believe that Orthodox Mormonism and conservative Christianity, in a way, grooms us for supporting potentially Trumpism and or what seems to be bordering on fascism. And here's my argument. I'm going to make it from a Mormon perspective. The final element of Trumpism that I condemn, that I see, are leaders and followers who encourage and or engage in violence. And if you haven't believed it before, you only have to see what happened yesterday. You had all of these people who were at Trump's rally with Trump flags, with Confederate flags, listening to Trump, cheering Trump on, and then Trump literally leads them, even though he and his family ran away at the last minute and bunkered up in the White House. He leads them to the Capitol building, where then they incite and engage in violence on the nation's capital. And if you are going to believe the garbage that those people were Antifa, that's stupid conspiracy theory garbage, because these people were at Trump's rally. He led them to the nation's capital. Then they invaded the nation's capital. Then Trump said in his public statement, "I love them, and you're special people. I love you." And he, and he sort of endorsed and validated all those people there that were doing the violence. So stop stating that the violent people yesterday were Antifa. That's the stupid, horrific, garbage conspiracy theory noise that I'm condemning today.
This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and you are being lied to, my friends, in regards to what happened at the Capitol building on Wednesday. So in this video, we're going to provide absolute proof that the so-called insurrection or coup was a complete setup. And if you just think that this was simply a major failure on the part of the security there at the Capitol building, well, you're just watching far too much television, ladies and gentlemen. So in this video, we're going to cover all of this and much more, but we have proof in this video today that this was a complete setup. And as I said, if you think this was simply a failure on the part of the Capitol building security, you are gravely mistaken. We're going to start with a compilation of videos that appear to show police officers allowing the demonstrators to breach the gate and make their way to the Capitol. Let's start with this one.
Police are squabbling with protesters.
So let me pull that back. We're going to see them open the gate, and we're going to see them allow them through and calmly walk with them.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh,
bringing them in. They're literally bringing them in. There they are, walking with the police.
They just reached the Capitol again.
And they've breached the Capitol, walking in with the police. Let's take a look at this one. Another barricade. This officer is literally, look at him. Come this way, come this way. Let me pull that back. This officer is saying, watch his hand gesture. This way, guys, this way. We move on to this one. Look at the number of police officers in the line back there as these people just waltz right in here, guys. They are just walking in the door. And I'll turn the volume down so we can, it's just a bunch of shouting. But look, watch them just openly march right into this place. And there's cops here. Look on the sides here, guys. Police officers standing on the sides, doing nothing, standing there, allowing the mob to just enter the building. This is the stuff you're not going to get from the mainstream media, guys. This is why you need to turn off your TV. Watch these guys just be given free will to enter the building. Now, as they eventually get to this area, they got one cop here for all of them. And look at what he has to deal with. He's saying, get back. He's got a baton, a stick. They get closer to the inside. Look at this. One cop. Come on, guys. This is the Capitol building. You're telling me that these guys were able. Look at this guy. He's got a stick, and he just keeps backing up and running away. It's one One man versus the mob at this point, guys. Now, I want to show you what the mainstream media is pumping out there. They are saying this clip represents the moment protesters first broke through Capitol Hill barricades. And we have a clip where there are police officers there and a group of protesters pushing through the barricades. But let's take a look at it, shall we? What do we have? About 50 protesters versus what, 5 cops? Guys, this is just absolutely unreal that we would think that they would have a security presence such as this, knowing what was coming. As I said in this tweet the other day, yesterday, Washington's elite politicians were all in one building that had a current threat from Iran being investigated by the FBI. Guys, did you know that? Here's this chilling threat sent to air traffic controllers vowing revenge for the killing of Iranian general is under investigation. Yes, the FBI was investigating this credible threat. Multiple air traffic controllers in New York heard a chilling threat Monday. In audio obtained exclusively by CBS News, we are flying a plane into the capital on Wednesday. Soleimani will be avenged. Guys, the Iranians literally said they're going to avenge Soleimani, who was killed a year to date before this message, at the Capitol building on Wednesday. So as I say, the FBI were currently investigating this, yet it was incredibly easy for Joe Schmo and Sally Soccer Mom to just storm their way in. This was a complete setup, plain and simple. Now let's move on. To the point, if they wanted to secure it, they could have. I also posted this. Remember this image during the BLM demonstrations? If they wanted to protect the Capitol building, they would have. It seems to me this is being allowed to happen, and knowing their modus operandi of order out of chaos, this could get ugly. Let's hope it doesn't, and of course it did. Multiple people have died, and yes, look at the images of what it was like back during those protests. Guys, if they wanted to protect the Capitol, they could have easily protected the Capitol, especially on the day when there was a threat from Iran coming in. No. It's little Sally Soccer Mom was able to break their way in there. Guys, speaking of BLM, this guy, as seen on the left, who was seen stealing one of the podiums inside the Capitol building, is also seen here on the right attending a Black Lives Matter rally. Of course, he will be praised as a hero for attending this one, and the FBI is going to condemn him as a criminal for attending that one. We have BLM-linked activists found inside Capitol building during protests. Of course, a lot of these guys are wearing Q shirts, like you can see here. You see a few MAGA hats here and there, but a lot of these guys are Q guys. A lot of people are pointing to this guy, saying he is Antifa, but he's literally marching in with a sign that says Q sent me. We really got to look at this. Isn't necessarily all these MAGA dudes. There's a whole bunch of people in there. I need to remind you too that during the Black Lives Matter protests, the media was constantly just kind of saying it's all peaceful. Look at this guy standing in front of raging fires in the background. He says fiery but mostly peaceful after police shooting. They constantly push this in the narrative, and I saw this from the New York Times. Cleaning crews at the Capitol were vacuuming the residue from pepper spray used on the mob of Trump supporters who stormed the building. And as Lauren Southern pointed out here, am I losing my mind? Did the media not just spend a year standing in front of raging fires, acting like nothing happened? And now they're literally zooming in on dust to be vacuumed in the Capitol? Yeah, well, that's what this has come to, guys. And what this also has led to is insane censorship coming from Silicon Valley. As we've seen, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they've all blocked the President of the United States from posting indefinitely, potentially for a couple of more weeks. As Mark Zuckerberg says here, the shocking events of the last 24 hours clearly demonstrate that President Trump intends to use his remaining time in office to undermine the peaceful and lawful transition of power to his elected successor, Joe Biden. His decision to use his platform to condone rather than condemn the actions of his supporters at the Capitol building has highly disturbed people in the U.S. He did condemn it, guys. He went on his Twitter. He posted multiple things. I'm asking everyone in the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are a party of law and order. Respect the law, the great men and women in blue. Thank you. He had multiple tweets deleted where he was saying to be peaceful. Twitter forced him to delete these tweets in order for him to gain access to his account again. This is just unreal. And he's now posting this, to all those who've asked, I'm not going to be going to the inauguration on the 20th. He also said, the 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. The reason why he's saying that is because he sees what's coming for his followers. Things like this. It's already starting to happen, guys. The Zero Hedge article here, it says, only in your imagination was that an attempted coup. We are being told that a coup attempt no longer needs to be understood as constituting an attempt to seize control of government, as had generally been commonly understood of the term, like of the events of yesterday, which have caused the entire political and media establishment to go completely haywire. Yeah, look at this frail, old, skinny little lady who was able to penetrate the security at the Capitol building because they were, just caught off guard by this insurrection. This is insanity, guys. If you believe this nonsense, again, you're watching far too much television. It is unusual for a mob to breach the Capitol building, ransacking offices, taking goofy selfies, and disrupting the proceedings of Congress for a few hours. Yeah, that's unusual. But the idea that this was a real attempt at a coup, meaning an attempt to seize by force the reins of the most powerful state in the history, is so preposterous that you really have to be a special kind of deluded in order to believe it. Or if not deluded, you have to believe that using such terminology serves some other political purpose, such as perhaps imposing even more stringent censorship on social media where the coup is reportedly to have been organized, or inflicting punishment on the man who was accused of inciting the coup, which you've spent 4 years desperately craving to do anyways. He's already been effectively banned from Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, a Rubicon crossing events in the suppression of political speech. And that's a really, really important point to make, guys, is that, look, if Silicon Valley can suppress the free speech of the president based on his tweets, what they saying he's insensitive, he's incorrect, it's false news. I would rather see that than to see Silicon Valley destroy the free speech of a president of the United States. This is dangerous, uncharted territory that we're marching into, guys. And as I see the events unfolding on Wednesday, it's clear to me that this is a case of lie hop. They let it happen on purpose. They knew this was coming. There were credible threats from Iran, or at least something that had to be considered. The FBI was investigating it. So why were these frail mom and pops allowed to just go on in there? It's all a setup, guys, to gain more tighter grip of control against the American people, against the Trump supporters. Sorry, let me go back. The Trump supporters, the American people, and of course Donald Trump. I'm no fan of Donald Trump. Those who know me see this as a false left-right paradigm. But I do see this entire situation as being a setup, and we're largely being manipulated by the media to think that, this was just a failure on the part of security. No. They let this happen, as we've shown you in the multiple footages here. Many angles, different areas where the police allowed them in. This cannot be denied, guys. This was allowed to happen on purpose. If you think it was just a major failure of security, please turn your TV off.
So, having said all that, these are the elements of Trumpism. And so now I want to take this to what in the world does any of this have to do with Mormonism? And argue that we as Mormons and possibly as conservative Christians have been especially groomed to be vulnerable to this type of fascism and what I'll call Trumpism. And I'm now going to draw these same parallels. You could ask, how in the world would anyone become susceptible to all these things?
So now, as you've seen the video, we have John Dehlin continuing with what he thinks is truth. And I watch YouTube truthers and different news organizations that are funded by individuals and not corporations and governments. And so I like to check out both sides of the story to decide for myself. Now we're going to go into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and their beliefs and how John Dehlin is portraying both Trumpism and the Mormon belief as the same thing.
Here's the argument again. When I think about Mormonism, do I think Mormonism encourages leaders and followers who place excessive faith in charismatic leaders? Absolutely. In Mormonism, we worship almost Joseph Smith. We worship our prophets, seers, and revelators. When Russell M. Nelson or any of the members of the Quorum of the 12 or the First Presidency come in the room, everyone needs to stand. We sing Follow the Prophet. We sing hymns that encourage us to worship and obey and follow these leaders. And we are taught as an institution that it is actually evil to criticize our leaders. As Mormons, we take covenants. We actually make temple covenants to never, quote, speak ill of the Lord's anointed.
Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable. Well, first of all, Trump supporters do not worship President Trump. We respect the guy. He is showing the deception and lies in government by both parties, the Republicans and Democrats. I don't agree with everything President Trump says or does or anything, but I respect the guy because he's a businessman. He knows what he's doing. And no, I will say we do not worship Joseph Smith. We do not worship the prophet and apostles. That is absolutely wrong. We respect our leaders, and in no way do we not check out for ourselves what the leaders are saying is correct. You don't have to agree with the leaders. We have our free agency. God's given us our free agency. John Dehlin, you are lying on this one.
A third parallel that I see between Orthodox Mormonism and Trumpism is, again, leaders and followers who value their beliefs more than evidence and who embrace baseless conspiracy theories over facts and truth. And Mormonism is replete with this. I was taught from a young age to question science, to be suspicious of science, that faith is superior to evidence. There's in Mormonism, we're groomed to have suspicion for the learned, that faith is better than evidence and facts and knowledge. I was taught that evolution is wrong. I was taught that the earth is 6,000 years old. I was taught that those who teach evolution are teaching heresy. And as far as conspiracy theories, if you think about it, the fact that Joseph Smith started the One True Church, that the Book of Mormon itself is a historical document, that it's an ancient document, that the Book of Mormon, that the Book of Abraham is an ancient document. All of these things are conspiracy theories that have no real basis in truth, and all of the scientific evidence points to the opposite. But because these conspiracy theories are important parts of our beliefs, then we do somersaults, flipping over backwards to try and bolster, the historicity of the Book of Mormon or the Book of Abraham, or the truthfulness or the absolute truthfulness of the Mormon Church, when science and evidence all run counter. Mormonism also has an anti-journalism slant, where they either avoid speaking openly to journalists, or they try and destroy or harm journalistic institutions like the Salt Lake Tribune, or they try and buy it up and water it down. But there is absolutely anti-journalistic or sentiments and or suspicion within Mormonism. And of course, the church is against its scholars. It's against its critics. And it engages in that by punishing them, by punishing us. And just like Trump has spokespeople who make excuses and gaslight its people, the Mormon church has deceptive apologetics, whether it's Farms, Hugh Nibley, whether it's the Maxwell Institute, whether it's Fair Mormon, whether it's Kwaku, whether it's Cardinellis. The Mormon church, even in a surrogate way, through these nonprofits, through the More Good Foundation, Book of Mormon Central, the Interpreter, they use spokespeople and nonprofits and apologetic groups to brainwash the public, to brainwash its members in ways that are anti-journalistic, anti-scientific, and anti-critics. So this is all stuff that Mormons, unfortunately, know way too well. Again, the Mormon church is filled with people who embrace baseless conspiracy theories. I've already made this point, but whether it's Joseph Smith's divine calling as God's one true prophet, there are way too many problems with Joseph Smith sleeping with underage girls, sleeping with 14, 15, 16-year-olds, marrying other men's wives, defrauding people out of money, claiming to translate documents that he hasn't translated. The core Joseph Smith narrative is in and of itself a baseless, harmful conspiracy theory. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't some good that's come from it, or even if you want to believe there's some divinity in it.
Hello friends, James Corbett, enjoying a nice sunny day here in the sunny climes of Western Japan, and I'm sure my audience doesn't need to be reminded about this, but just for any newbies out there, of course we know that the dreaded conspiracy theorist label, oh, the worst thing you can be called, you're a conspiracy theorist, was not invented by the CIA. That's a straw man that's sometimes used to debunk this idea, but was popularized by the CIA through its agents in the Operation Mockingbird program in the American media as a result of their 1967 memo, CIA document 1035-960. If you haven't seen it, I will of course put the link in the show notes so you can go and see it directly for yourself, where they talk about countering criticism of the Warren Report and people who dare to believe that perhaps Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't the lone nut that we were told he was. Well, one of the ways that they suggest countering such criticism is to label the crackpots who deride that notion as conspiracy theorists. They do use that term in the document. And lo and behold, yes, the conspiracy theorist term was employed in the media with increasing frequency from that point. I wonder why. Well, as I say, I'm sure most of my regular audience already knows that story, so I got an interesting little thought experiment in recently via email from Jacob? I actually don't remember the name, so Jacob, or whoever you are, I'm very sorry if I got your name wrong, but I did appreciate the thought experiment, which was basically along these lines. We all know that conspiracy, of course, is an actual crime. Conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to launder money, conspiracy to commit bank robbery, whatever. People are actually charged with and convicted of the crime of conspiracy every single day. But so technically speaking, any police detective that's looking for unnamed or unknown associates of the person who they have in custody is a conspiracy theorist. He's theorizing that there may have been a conspiracy. I mean, so it is really ridiculous to use this as some sort of pejorative label. Well, let's imagine if we applied that in another context. What if there was something like burglary theorist? What if in the 1960s the CIA or whatever deep state agency had decided to make burglary theorist the term that they would implant in the media? And thereby, over the course of, half a century of conditioning, people would be scared to even talk about burglary or their thoughts on the possibility that burglary exists. You might go back to your home one day and find all the windows smashed and all the valuables have been taken, the whole place has been ransacked. And you turn to your friend and you say, I think there was a burglary here. And your friend, oh, you burglary theorist, what are you talking about? Or we might imagine the nightly news broadcast where They come on and say, very strange phenomenon sweeping across Main Street last night. A number of shops had their windows broken in and money was missing from the cash registers. The police say they have no idea what happened, but there's already a number of burglary theories popping up online. I mean, insert your own joke here. We could see quite easily how stupid such an idea, such a system would be. And of course, who would benefit from that? The burglars. Of course. People who commit burglary would love if burglary theorist was some pejorative phrase and no one wants to talk about burglary. Of course. So who does it benefit that conspiracy theory is this big thought crime and you can't dare broach the subject? People who conspire, which really happens and people are really convicted for, but still don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. Do you see how this works? I think that's a great little thought experiment. So my thanks to Jacob, for sending that idea in. And, I think we should start using it, maybe flipping the tables on people who use conspiracy theorist as a pejorative. Yeah, well, you're a burglary theorist. Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. As always, thank you guys for the support. Talk to you again soon.
But there is way too many problems with Joseph Smith and its history to not also see it on its face value as a baseless, harmful conspiracy theory. That's true for the Book of Mormon. That's true for the Book of Abraham. That's true for Joseph Smith's polygamy. And that's true for the LDS Church's claim of being the one true church.
No, absolutely not. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the foundation is built on Jesus Christ and faith in him and everything that's gone on. We have always believed in education and making ourselves better so we can help others do better themselves, like science, math. But we believe in true science. We believe in scripture. There was a lot more written about Jesus Christ. There are some that believe in evolution, but for myself, no. I don't believe that we came from monkeys. I believe that we were created by God. That's your opinion. I've watched John Dehlin for about 6-8 years now, and at the beginning of his videos, he always says that he wants to help the Mormons, that he loves the Mormons. And then you get into the video about an hour or two later, and this is what you get. You get John Dehlin, Dr. John Dehlin, spewing crap that the Mormon members are brainwashed and conspiracy theorists. He thinks the members of the church are sick and they need to be fixed. So I could make hours of video just on this bullet point. He says leaders and followers who value their beliefs more than evidence and who embrace baseless conspiracy theories. Well, I can tell you this, that I have watched what he's produced and the people that he's interviewed, and no, I have not lost my faith, and there's millions that wouldn't lose their faith. As you've seen in the video there, like the absolute proof that the cops let the people in to invade the Capitol. And he doesn't show that. He doesn't say anything about that. Because he watches one thing. He has blinders on, and he has a job. He's a doctor in psychology, and he needs patience. He wants people to lose their faith so they will come to him so they can get fixed. And he can get paid for fixing you. There are certain words, these certain phrases and words that have been engineered for decades, like conspiracy theory, that I am so glad that I caught on to about 10 years ago, that the mainstream media and our governments were starting to spew out. For example, like homophobia and Islamophobia and any kind of Europhobia, and now racist. Oh, unpresident racist. These words that Dr. John Dehlin also spews out in this video, and all those words are engineered to do is to shut you up or to make you think that you have an illness when you have a spiritual opinion or a harsh opinion. These people want to censor you, and hey, from experience, just a few weeks ago, well, guess what? Yeah, John Dehlin kicked me off his YouTube channel for making comments. He is censoring me. You're going to see a lot more of this. They don't want to listen to you. They think you're the one with the illness. And when you do show truth and prove things, they don't want to listen to it. They don't care. You can show these people proof all day long, and they don't care. They just don't care.
And all that other stuff. So that's my main argument, that Mormonism and or Orthodox Christianity has groomed us for fascism and for Trumpism. What I would like to do now is close in the most constructive way that I can. I'm going to make the argument that there are also many good things within Mormonism, and that Mormonism has actually taught us many good things that can actually help inoculate us and or show us the way out of the sort of disposition or proclivity towards Trumpism and or fascism. And the best shining example of this that I can find in or out of Mormonism in the United States, ironically, is a Republican Mormon senator named Mitt Romney. And I did not vote for Romney. I voted for Obama. And I wish that the Romney who was the governor of Massachusetts would have been the same Romney that ran for president, or I would have voted for that Romney. But I don't know how, Republican or Democrat these days, if you're open-minded, if you're objective, even if you disagree with his policies, I don't know how you can't be inspired by the acts of Mitt Romney in the United States in the modern era. He is a man for all seasons. Look up Sir Thomas More, watch the movie A Man for All Seasons, because what we've seen is there is one Republican in the Senate and in Congress who is willing to openly speak out against Donald Trump, not just yesterday, but for months and months and months and even years leading up to this horrific result that happened yesterday. And that's Mormon Senator Mitt Romney.
Well, there you go. I think we found John Dehlin's idol, Mitt Romney, the socialist / maybe communist coming soon. This is my opinion. And because I've watched this unfold all these years, is that Mitt Romney is a backstabbing closet Democrat. And he's coming out and showing his true colors. I disagree with the socialist ideology. I believe in independence and choice and freedom. I do not believe in kneeling for men. I will only kneel to my King, my God, Jesus Christ and Heavenly Father. In closing, I just want to say that I actually might do some videos on in depth on these bullet points, because there is a real evil in this world, and it's showing its face right now. And people need to wake up, especially John Dehlin. And like I say, I don't know if he just doesn't understand. Maybe he's not checking everything out, but Satan does rule this world, and he's never left. The same evil spirit that started here on this world is still here. The same evil spirit that divides, same evil spirit that murders innocent, unborn babies. This is the stuff that needs to be talked about and shown. And President Trump, that's all he did. He wanted to do is show the deception and lies. And that's what the Church of Jesus Christ wants to show, is the deception and lies, and to show people how they can build their own foundation on Jesus Christ and have a testimony of him. I just want to say God bless you all, and I hope to see you soon. Have a great day. Thanks.